WorldSkills International is a global body. I must say it's a not-for-profit organization. It dates back in the 1950s when the world was sort of changing into more skill set. So WorldSkills International saw the need that, okay, the world needs to be set to that direction, and they started the first WorldSkills International. To date, WorldSkills has grown from the start in Spain to over 76 nations partaking in skills. The aim of WorldSkills is to basically empower youth through the power of skills. They saw that skills needed to be incorporated into the schools, into the wider community, into our workplaces. WorldSkills actually happens on a biannual basis. It happens together with the cooperation of government, institutions, schools, industry as a whole, because skills drives what the industry drives what skills is basically needed.
This year, WorldSkills was held in Abu Dhabi. Right? It was the 44th event that was put on, and this year there was competition in about 51 different areas. Actually, competitions were spanned the field of construction, the creative arts, information and communication technology, manufacturing, the social and personal skills, transportation and logistics. What really happens at WorldSkills, it's a 4-day event, and participants are fielded from around the world. They compete in the various areas. For example, the different test pieces will be conducted over a 4-day sequence. So I remember distinctly speaking to a gentleman pertaining to welding. The welding was done over 20 hours over the 4 days, right? And the participants have a given time frame in which to complete various tasks that are designed and defined by the professionals. The outcomes are inspected and judged, right? And the participants are awarded points. These points is what will be used to determine who are the various winners.
For me, it was more or less exciting because we saw emerging skills, we saw new technologies, we saw TVET at its best. And we saw areas that we, in our minds, here in our region, wouldn't even think about. So for me, it was a great experience. It was a lot of food for thought. It made me think, okay, there's a lot to be desired in our region, and that we have a lot of work in our region to get done to be a part of the whole WorldSkills movement.
Let me use the word awesome, right? Because it was a real eye-opener. There were competitions in the traditional areas that we expect, things like the electrical and the construction even, right? The bricklaying and masonry. And then there were competitions in some of the new and emerging technologies which sparked my interest and said, my people need to be on board with this. That's things like robotics and mechatronics and CNC milling. The world is participating in what is called the digital revolution, and what we're seeing here is a fusion of technologies. I'm thinking about things like the emergence of artificial intelligence, right, and the virtual reality. The question is, we are not the producers of the technology, but invariably we have to interface with it, and there must be a beginning point. We're not producing things that contribute to that fourth industrial revolution, but the world we're living in is demanding our interaction in that way, right? There is an immediate opportunity, for example, for us to apply virtual reality to the mainstay of our economy, which is tourism. How do we get people out there to experience what we have is by applying those technologies. If our youngsters are not aware and sufficiently informed, we will not be able to participate in that way. So our intent in moving this initiative forward is to begin to build that awareness so that our people can be equipped in the coming years to be part of this mass movement of change.
The whole WorldSkills event can be compared to the Olympics. So picture a Grenadian partaking in a non-traditional skills at Abu Dhabi, where the world is looking on. where businesses is looking on, where people like Mercedes-Benz and the other high-tech industries are sponsors and are looking on. And there's a little Grenadian there, let's say for example, being an auto mechanic and getting gold. It says something about our TVET system. It says that we have invested in our system to produce this quality, and that at the end of the day, when somebody leaves Grenada with a CBQ and they go to these regions, they can be comfortable that our TVET system is working and is effective, and they can be comfortable in hiring that person with that CBQ.
What we hope to achieve by having our people participate in WorldSkills is for us to raise the bar of quality output, right? So that our training providers are mindful that the people they train and put out are potential competitors.
So how do you be a part of it? Government has to change the policies. We now have to start to merge academia with TVET, because it's gotten to a point where academics alone doesn't cut it. We now have to find a way to sell TVET as the number one choice, and it must start with the government. Industry must also come on board and say, okay, we have been getting workers where they are not at the level where we want them to be. So this is how the industry be a part of it. Say to us, this is what we need, what they need. This is the skills we need. We train them to meet those needs.
The NTA has taken the initiative, and we've called today a meeting of stakeholders. What I wish is for the persons who are, what I recommend, not wish, is that the persons who are here attending the meeting and anyone who is hearing my voice, we take the situation before us seriously, because the world is changing whether or not we are willing to change. The changes have already happened. So we need that shift in policy. There's some models in our region that we could look at. Jamaica invented a national qualification framework that has defined the pathway between TVET and academic qualifications in a very clear and definitive way. Jamaica is moving to revolutionize their whole educational system. They have a very visionary minister. It means there are policies put in place that are going to support this initiative. Right? Employers and business people need to come on board, as Sonia mentioned. I'll just briefly highlight that the teaching learning experience is no longer up to the persons in the classroom. Right? Industry needs to be a partner to this, and this point came out rather clearly in the engagements at the conference, that we need that partnership. Our trainers need to be conscious that they are not preparing people for Grenada. They're preparing people to serve on the world scene. So WorldSkills puts us in a frame of mind where the aptitudes we're saying you should have are not local, they're international. The meeting today will set the basic framework on which we will operate. We want to be able to pull some core committees together, right? Even in the most rudimentary form. We would need to engage further and get a wider involvement of stakeholders to refine the engagement in these committees. We have to speak to and get actuated people who will be willing to see this move forward. That is the sponsors. Can't happen without these persons on board. Right? Mm-hmm. I liked the wall in Abu Dhabi. It was decorated with some big name sponsors. These people understand the science behind getting what they want in their companies by sponsoring these type of events. And we need to have all people in Grenada here perform in the same way. You want good employees, then sponsor training and events that would allow us to prepare them in that way. Right? We want our training providers to, from today and going forward, be always conscious that they're preparing people for world-class situations. Right? We want participants to have that Kirani outlook. I could be the next gold winner. Mm-hmm. Right? We want our government to be on board. Right? In the same way, we want our people to have a vision that this is not the NTA's initiative. This is a country initiative. Mm-hmm. What needs to happen here is that all of us need to come on board so that we could build a better Grenada.